What's going on YouTube, and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about volume imbalances. What are they and how to trade them? So what is a volume imbalance? A volume imbalance is where price is inefficiently traded. And what I mean by price is the bodies. The bodies of the candle is what I mean by price. Everything else, the wicks for an example, this is just noise. Wicks are noise. Bodies are price. As we can see here, notice how we are trending down, but when this following candle opens, notice how we failed to get a body close within this range. And you're going to see something later on in the video that's going to help you explain this a lot better. Price normally should trade. When price is trading efficiently, you will never see a gap in price. And I'm going to show you something really quick. So if we come to our charts, double click on it, remove wicks, you'll notice something with price. Notice how clean price action is. Notice the bodies, strictly the bodies, right? You see how very rarely there's ever really a gap in price. Gap here gets filled, pushes back higher. Gap here, notice where price retraces back to, right? So now that you see price rarely likes to leave spaces within the bodies of candles, you'll start to realize how powerful volume and balance are and how you can incorporate them in your trading. Now, if you notice here, something I like to do personally is I actually like to enter on volume imbalances. The reason why is because if you get a body closer below the volume imbalance, you already know your trade's invalidated. So right here, for an example, we start to slowly get a market structure shift, right, at the break of this candle. Now, instead of taking the first breakout, something I personally would want to do is, hey, let's see if we can get a retest of this volume imbalance, which we do here on this candle. And the reason why is because guess what? Chances are we just entered at the exact top or the exact bottom of the market for this current period in time. So notice here, buyers step in here again, and we get that push up out of this range. Notice how we never get a body close below the volume imbalance. So that's one aspect of using volume imbalances. Another aspect is targeting volume imbalances as the draw on liquidity. So I'll show you an example in the second half of the video. First thing, in order to find a trade, you need to identify what market structure is. So as we notice here, market structure is trending down. Why is it trending down? Series of lower highs and lower lows. So now that we've identified that, we can clearly identify that trend is down. So what do we want to do now? Now we want to look, where can we find a potential pullback to get continuation down to take out this straw liquidity right here? What do we see here? Notice how we have a gap in price right here. So what I'm going to do is mark that out and mark that as a volume imbalance. Now, what I want to anticipate is price to eventually come back into this range, fail to get a body close over, which is our confirmation based on the daily time frame, and get continuation back down to take out this strong liquidity down here. Now that we've identified the volume imbalance and what the drawn liquidity is, let's go down to the lower time frame to find a potential entry at the daily volume imbalance to take us down to the strong liquidity. Now that we're on the 30-minute, we understand that this is the drawn liquidity. Buyers are stepping in here to pull us back, ultimately to give us a better entry to actually take us to the strong liquidity. Now, this is how I like to trade. I like to trade very aggressive price action. I'm very patient as a trader. So I rather miss out on all of this move to the upside to take one clean trade that goes directly to our price target. So let's play this out. So as we test into this range, this is where I want to see, okay, how is price reacting? Notice how price is going up very slow and steady. Very likely, once we grab this strong liquidity up here, we likely get that displacement down to our price target here. Now that we're back into this range, personally, I don't like to take the first wave into a trade setup. And the reason why is because very oftentimes the first trade setup is not the actual move. More times than not, it's actually the second setup. So as we start to trend down here, start to get this retracement, this is where I want to get this entry. So we're going to set that short tool up. Personally, I'm very greedy on volume imbalances. I always put it at the top side of the volume imbalance, never at the bottom entry. And the purpose of that is because if price is to be traded efficiently, it will go to the top of the range. It will never just tap into it. Now that we have identified our entry, let's focus on our price target. We know this is the drawn liquidity down here. So let's play this out. Notice how we get a clean, aggressive price action straight to our price target. That is how I like to trade. So that is an example of using volume imbalances as an entry. Now let's dive into using volume imbalances as a drawn liquidity. If you want to make some money and learn in the process, make sure to join my free trading community in the description. Now let's dive in on how to utilize volume imbalances as drawn liquidities or your price targets. So for an example here, notice based on daily, what can we see? We see a volume imbalance up here. Not only that, but we also see price attempted to trade into this range, but never fully did. So what does that likely mean? Very likely that this is the acting drawn liquidity and price 100% will return back to this range. It's up to us now to find a good entry. Now, what else can we also see? Notice how we have a volume balance down here. So we're going to mark that one out as well, right? Now that we have these two daily volume imbalances that we can clearly identify, what we need to see in order for us to 100% get confirmation that we will test this volume imbalance up here is a body close above this range. So let's see if we can get a follow through here. So there we go. Notice how this candle closes through this range. So now that volume imbalance is no longer warranted. We no longer care about it. We only want to see volume imbalances where price has inefficiently traded, which is up here at 13,357. Not only that, what else can we notice here on the daily time frame? Notice how we have this drawn liquidity right here. Notice how we swept the liquidity. Did we ever get a body close below this range? No, we did not. So very likely, what does that mean? Very likely, it's a liquidity sweep. So based on that, if we know we grab liquidity down here from this sell side liquidity, likely we have enough built up liquidity, or almost think of it as like energy, to push price back up into this range. Not only that, notice how we have aggressive price action all throughout this range. What do we call those? Those are price action zones. If you want to learn more about price action zones, make sure to check out my most recent video. Now let's go down to a lower time frame so we can find an entry. So just looking at price in this range, personally, the best possible entry I'd like would be a potentially pullback into this fair value gap, or even testing this equilibrium block down here. Let's play this out a bit. We get a gap down. Notice how all gaps get filled. So very likely, once we get this pushed back through this range, we have 100% confirmation that this is the drawn liquidity and we will 100% hit this range. So now from here, now that we're getting this pullback, notice where we bounce, right? So at this given point in time, where's my entry? At the start of the equilibrium block, where's our drawn liquidity? Remember I said I'm greedy with the volume imbalances. I like to put my price targets at the top of the volume imbalance. Now for our stop loss, let's put a stop loss here. Notice how tight this risk to reward is. It's a 9.09. Great trade. Take these setups 100% of the time. Notice where buyers step in. 30-minute equilibrium, right? Notice how we get displacement straight to our price target. We deal with absolutely nothing and a perfect entry to our price target. That is how I like to trade. Make sure to like, comment what you guys would like to learn next, and subscribe. I'll see you guys in my next video.